The today's speaker, let me introduce Mr. Abhishek. Mr. Abhishek is a co-founder of Well and was a product owner for PolicyBazaar.com, a very well-known service product. You may be knowing PolicyBazaar.com. Okay, he is a 3x entrepreneur and 2x author also. He is with the enterprise also, and he is a very writer also, writing books. He has been in blockchain for more than 3 years. At Will, he is building India's first agri landing blockchain actually, which can save up to 25 to 40% of farmers' income actually, and also protect banks from various type of frauds. This he is doing from his startup company. He also been advisor for many startup companies such as esports.com, who raised 500 million euro in this ICO. He is the author of number of books, many books he has already written. But I want to mention one important book. His second book, actually, the Secure Chains, that is Cyber Security and Blockchain Powered Automation, has been published by the BPP publication, actually, a very well-known Asia's largest publisher in the IT books, actually. And he is also known to me from class 12. He has attended CSA IT quiz in 2011 when I was a quiz master that time. That time itself, our chain is still continuing. Our blockchain is also continuing. Start the session
Sure.
and share his views on blockchain and the technology details.
Sure.
Mr. Abhishek, you can
Sure.
carry on.
Sure. I'm just sharing my screen. Please let me know if you when you can see the screen. Is it
Screen.
Yeah, we can see.
you can see the screen, and is the slides changing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Great. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. We can see it.
All right. Great.
Okay, others I think we can mute. Question
Yes.
will be in the last, I think.
Yes. So, request to everyone, we are on Google Meet, and I have turned off those functionalities to, not allow you to unmute or something. And so, our big request that please keep yourselves on mute. We will take questions in the between as well as at the end, whenever it's good to do so. And all right, let me admit another person. Okay. So so basically, and also please let me know if my screen gets stuck or something. In case there's an internet problem, just let me know. You unmute your mic and then definitely do let me know. Let me admit. Okay, great. So all right. So thank you so much. I'll just start, and thank you for having me here today. In case the slides don't change, just let me know. And so basically, as Pandyan sir said, that this is a very nostalgic webinar for me, you can say, because it is with CSI Ranchi chapter, and I've done my schooling from Ranchi, and it was when he was my quiz master, and we were, I think, in the on stage finals. And such a beautiful memory to come back, to work with the same people whom you've looked up to since over almost a decade now, right? So that's great. And because we were on Google Meet, and I have to admit people in between, so might be shifting a bit. So, but yeah, I think we should be good to go. All right, welcome. This is by Computer Society of India Ranchi chapter, and we are going to take a look at very basic blockchain essentials, trying to understand that what blockchain technology is all about, not going into a lot of technicalities. However, we will try to accomplish something by maybe in the next 1 hour 15 minutes, is that, or by 5:15 p.m. is what this technology is, why it came up and into hype so much, and also whether this is something that you would like to get into, because it's really going hot right now, and what it means for people who are directly into IT, who want to become blockchain engineers, and people who can just know about blockchain because their company maybe uses blockchain. I was taking a lecture for IIM Kashipur some time back, and even people there were interested in blockchain. They are doing an executive MBA, so you might ask why they are interested in blockchain. they might be now going into companies who are working into blockchain. So even if you don't code, knowing blockchain and the technology behind it is something that is going to be very useful for you. So that is what we are going to look at. And as I explained, my entire purpose for the next 1 hour is going to be understanding about what blockchain technology is all about, why the world needed something behind which there was a decentralization of sorts, and why people were shying away from centralized services, and why is it that they needed something that is maintained by a lot more number of people than as compared to centralized services, centralized databases, or centralized entities. And what should be our plan if especially you are at a stage where you want to become a blockchain engineer? There are a couple of slides on that. In case you don't want to be a blockchain engineer but still want to stay updated, there's quite a bit of a plan there as well, because this has been designed for IT as well as non-IT professionals alike. And we will explore some applications, because one thing that is going to give you some great data or some great insights from today's lecture is going to be, at the end of this 1 hour, is going to be understanding what kind of applications people have been doing in blockchain till now, and how it has been fruitful as a technology for them all around the world and in India as well, and whether you can relate some of your use cases at your company or at your college, at your university, and maybe you can make up something out of it. So we'll see some real world use cases, very, very good real world use cases I've chosen. All right, a quick introduction. Most of it has been given by Pandyan sir. Why I take these lectures is because this is not what I do full time. This is in full time I'm building India's first agri lending platform. We are already into 1400 warehouses, done over a few crores of loans, and we are with major banks in the pipeline right now, and we are working with the government as well. And we have been supported by IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kanpur. We have been supported by University of Toronto, Canada, and so we've got some traction there. And so I believe that blockchain is something that we are using not in a force-fit manner, which is something that I'll be discussing here, that a lot of people believe that blockchain, when people are using it, is mostly to force-fit blockchain into another use case just because it is in the hype. It's not something that we are doing, and we have proven to be doing that. And we'll also take a look at what others are doing, what people like IBM, what companies like Amazon, they are doing in blockchain. We'll just take a quick look at that as well. So that's it. That's who I am. All right, beginning here, let's take a very, very top of the level bird's eye view of what exactly blockchain is, right? So a very good comparison that we see nowadays is that what many think blockchain is. Let's take a look at that, right? So blockchain, most of the people I've dealt with till now, be it in terms of my startup or in terms of these lectures, when I hear the questions, a lot of people I feel that are very much understand blockchain as as we are like looking at a technology which is just doing one thing, which is cryptocurrencies. People understand blockchain because of cryptocurrencies, maybe because they got to know about blockchain for the first time because of Bitcoin, because of Ethereum, or some similar currencies, and their outrageous value that where Bitcoin went, and and people believe that blockchain is what was banned by RBI or the Indian government, and people believe that there is no other application. And believe me, this some of you who know blockchain might sound that okay, no, this is not the case. But believe me, interacting with over a few thousand students till now, which includes faculties and PhDs alike, I have seen that this is a very common notion between most of them, right? So we'll be clearing that out here. Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, Ethereum, all of them are essentially an implementation of blockchain. Just like you can use an RDBMS to create 100 different softwares, 100 different applications, right? You can use a NoSQL database to create 1,000 more applications, right? All of these, Netflix, us, all of us are running on NoSQL databases now. That does not mean that is only what a NoSQL database can do. So exactly like that, blockchain is a technology. Artificial intelligence, quantum computing, these are technologies. They are not applications. They are not implementations. Cryptocurrency is not a technology. Cryptocurrencies are an application of blockchain underneath them, right? So that is what cryptocurrencies are. So please make sure that you understand blockchain in its entirety and not just as an application because you've been hearing about Bitcoin all through, right? So that is what blockchain isn't. So what blockchain actually is a revolutionary piece of technology which is bringing with itself some very core characteristics of some very great characteristics such as transparency, immutability, right, finality, giving you provenance for a data. All of these concepts, all of these characteristics combined into one technology was not seen very much before blockchain came. And blockchain is not new. Blockchain is I would like to say that blockchain is over maybe 2 decades old, right? So the first time, the father of blockchain is actually not Satoshi Nakamoto. If you understand Bitcoin, and if you know that Bitcoin is where blockchain came into existence, you are wrong. Blockchain's father, if the father of blockchain is actually Dr. Scott Stornetta. He is known as the father of blockchain, and it's not Satoshi Nakamoto. And the first paper that Dr. Stornetta wrote, it was back in 97 or 94, which was also referred by Satoshi Nakamoto in his Bitcoin white paper. So you can say that Bitcoin is based on his work as well. And I'm happy to share that Dr. Stornetta is one of our mentors at the University of Toronto, and he's one of the fathers of blockchain. And what work he does and what work Satoshi Nakamoto has done are very different, right? Are very different. This is a technology, that is a cryptocurrency implementation, right? So that is what blockchain provides. It's a piece of technology providing all these. You can check on the screen all these characteristics. Immutability, we all must have heard now, is that blockchain, you anything put on it, you cannot remove it, right? So that is what immutability means. Transparency, a lot of public blockchains give you complete transparency. The first transaction that was done by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2009, you can just go on a Bitcoin blockchain explorer, and you can see that transaction even now. So that is what essentially public blockchains do, and that is where the transparency comes in. In our case also, we are a permission blockchain which is not public, and we also give a portal for banks and warehouses to go and see the transactions, and everyone can see that, right? Not general public, but people in our network can do that. So these and security, it is one of the most secure forms of technology currently existing, right? Unless you hear stories about quantum computing coming in and breaking the cryptocurrency or the consensus mechanisms that we know of. Unless you know about that, this is what how blockchain is very secure. And till now, not a lot of examples have happened where people have cracked blockchain to extract money or bitcoins or Ethereum or normal regular data, transactions that banks do, transactions that IBM does, food related transactions that IBM does on its blockchain. None of that I believe has been really hacked, because blockchain is practically unhackable, and it becomes more strong. It becomes much stronger when the number of people in a blockchain network grows. So we might not get time to get into it, because blockchain is a huge concept, but there are certain attacks you must have heard of, 51% attack and all of that. If you're into tech, those things happen when the blockchain network is very small. It's just, for example, it's just two people. So 51% out of two people is one, right? One or maybe both of them can collude together. 51% in a big network like Bitcoin would mean 15,000 odd nodes. Now, colluding amongst 15,000 nodes is not that easy, right? If you know what I mean, it's not that easy to do. Let me admit one person. All right. Okay. So that's what blockchain is all about, right? Okay. Okay, till now, any questions till now? I'll just switch to the chat. If you have any questions, you can unmute. Maybe we can take a minute for questions, or you can even write on chat, and I can pick them up in between, right? If you have any questions, please do write in the chat. Till then, I'll just continue. So let's take a look at, because this is a very initial session, let's take a look at some facts to motivate you towards why blockchain, why the country needs blockchain, or why the country needs blockchain engineers, and why this is something that it's an item that you should take a look at. I would love every one of you, even if you're not on cameras, but I would really love every one of you to take a deep look into this very graphic. I spent a lot of time in making this visual, right? Some time back. So this is the visual of a comparison of exactly what kind of population we have in the country who are IT engineers, who are software engineers in India, which is around 2 million people, 2 million or more than that now, and what percentage of it are into blockchain or even near to blockchain, right? So you can check that 1 in 400 IT engineers, that's 0.25%, are into blockchain at the moment, right? If you compare this with any other form of technology or language or programming construct that you've learned or that you've built a career in, it is a huge gap. Now just think about placing yourself in the population of people who know Java. I can guarantee that more than 60-70% of people of these 2 million people would be at least knowing some form of Java. Competing in more than a million people out of 2 million people for jobs which might be existing around 700 or 800,000, that's a tough competition. That is why we know that Indian industry is competitive. You have to be really good to get a great job, otherwise you might be stuck with a very subpar job, right? So just imagine competing in those numbers. On the other hand, just think about competing in 0.25% of 2 million people, of 2.5 million people. Such big chance you have, and I can guarantee you. Okay, I'll share a very specific use case here so that I can give some industry reference as well. I've been hiring. Okay, World, my company World, we have not laid off any employee of ours in the entire COVID duration. In fact, we have constantly hired people in this all COVID months, since March to even yesterday, right, till even today. I have been able to even close important positions like full stack engineer. Then we are about to close AI ML engineers, computer vision engineer. However, we have constantly closed customer support engineers. However, since the last 4.5 months, I am trying to hire one blockchain engineer, and 4 months have passed. 4.5, 5 months have passed, and I have not been able to hire or close that position yet. So if any of you are there, you can definitely apply to us, right? We are in need, and like us, a lot of people around the world, around the country or around the world, are in need of blockchain engineers. That is the kind of demand is there for blockchain engineers all across the globe at this point. This can only grow because blockchain is not stopping anywhere, right? So this can only grow, and this is a direct reference. So I would love you to understand that this is how the scene is changing, and maybe a lot of other technologies are there: AI, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, AI ML, and then computer vision. But blockchain is going really hot right now. So if you want to get into blockchain, this is the correct time, right? Someone is unmuted. Is there a question that I can take? All right, Mehul, I think you're unmuted. If there's a question, you can ask, or you can type in the chat as well. All right, let's move it. So just putting into perspective, currently, even though you have heard about RBI banning cryptocurrencies and all, however, technically speaking, what RBI did was just ban banks in dealing with people or services or corporates that are in turn dealing with their users in terms of cryptocurrencies. Banks stopped providing them the services, which in turn made the services stop for you as well, obviously, right? So that is what banks did. Banks or RBI or the government did not ban blockchain as a technology. On the other hand, the government has been very outright in saying that blockchain is a technology that they want to explore more. Across many industries, across many use cases. One example is us, because we are the first live implementation in Maharashtra Blockchain Sandbox, and Maharashtra Blockchain Sandbox is the country's first such blockchain sandbox, right? So there's a lot of, and our customers are governments, right? Government warehouses. So there's a lot of things going on in blockchain in government as well. Nothing is banned in that sense, right? So again, this is the last data that we are looking at, and then we'll switch to some use cases. Currently, this is, you can read for yourself on the screen. This is what the salaries look for even the new engineers that are coming out in who are somewhat experienced at least in blockchain. And then the world's your oyster. You can crawl across so many opportunities that are currently available in the entire market. So that's where we are, and that's a pretty decent salary. I remember that I have not seen these salaries when you're going out as a fresher out of college, right? So okay. Okay, we'll just stop here for a second. Do we have any questions? I'll just ask again because there's a new section that we are about to start. All right. If there's not, then I'll just proceed. Great. Okay, let's take a look at how again, definitely you can see Bitcoin and Ethereum. I talked about not thinking about Bitcoin and Ethereum in terms of blockchain, but this is, we are doing something else. We are trying to understand that cryptocurrencies, though they are definitely a technology that is built on, they are an use case, they are a use case that is built on blockchain as a technology. We would love to check where they stand in terms of mass adoption at the moment, right? Some very critical figures here. If you take a look, Visa, which we all use every day, almost, Visa has a transaction throughput of 1736 transactions per second, which is what they have achieved the maximum till now, which was I think some day they received 1.5 million transactions, and that is when you divide it by I think 24 hours or something, you get this number. That is how they got this number. However, on the other hand, they have promised that they have tested their systems to even go up to 56,000 transactions per second, and this 1736 was not very far back. So if currently we have 1736 transactions maximum on a Visa network, on the Visa network, which is so popular across the world, if we have maximum these number of transactions, then imagine 56,000 transactions. Visa can easily accommodate us and the entire world's transactions for maybe another 2 decades, 3 decades without even touching anything. On the other hand, if you take a look at Bitcoin, right? If you take a look at Ethereum, the transactions per second of Bitcoin is 4.6 per second. That's average. And maximum that the entire Bitcoin network has seen has been 7 transactions per second. 1736, 7 transactions per second. Huge gap. So, this is a lecture on blockchain. I've been in blockchain, but these are some use cases that I wanted to share so that people get a good clarity as to where cryptocurrencies lie, where the blockchain technology currently lies. So if you're thinking of using blockchain technology for payments, it's a bit falling behind right now, quite a bit falling behind right now. So we can definitely check at implementing blockchain across more and better use cases. We'll take a look at that. Let's take a look at Ethereum as well. Ethereum has achieved roughly 15 transactions per second, double than what Bitcoin has been able to achieve, but still 1736 transactions per second, right? So Visa is around 400 times than Bitcoin's own throughput. That is 100 people standing in line to pay by a Visa will be 400 times faster than such 100 people standing in line to pay via Bitcoin. A great use case I have to share is that this is a reason why you cannot go to a Starbucks shop and you cannot pay for your coffee using Bitcoin yet. The only reason is that the barista or yourself, either of you, won't be knowing exactly when will the payment go through, how late would the payment go through. The barista would not know exactly when to give you the coffee. You would not know when to actually leave the shop with your coffee in hand, because it can be 10 minutes, it can be 40 minutes, right? So this is an average. 10 minutes is average. You go on a Bitcoin, if we had if we have at the end some time for some from practical lookout, I'll show you any blockchain explorer, Bitcoin blockchain explorer you open, you just see the blocks that have formed, and you'll see that one block is 15 minutes ago, another one would be maybe 120 minutes ago, right? Or 80 minutes ago, 70 minutes ago. So sometimes the gap between the blocks is so huge, and your main part is you are uncertain that how much time would it actually take to actually go through. It can be 10 minutes. 10 minutes is good, right? But not good when you're comparing it with fast technologies such as Paytm, which takes a couple of seconds. UPI takes a second, right? So all of these technologies, cryptocurrencies for payments is falling a bit behind, but a lot of research has been going on in making this process really fast, and maybe soon we get to see some great implementations across shops and all, right? Okay, we are starting another section. Just check if there are any chats or something. Any questions, please just unmute and let me know. All right. Okay. Analyzing the thoughts on the capabilities of the variety of blockchain networks that we have seen. And let's take two popular ones, Bitcoin and Ethereum again, and let's compare it with Visa in terms of what we just discussed, the transactions per second, right? But now we are not directly talking about just the number of transactions that are happening in a second, but now we are talking about what the process is when we are talking about Visa, and on the other hand, when we are talking about something like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Visa is a centralized ledger. In Visa, you are writing to a single ledger. The banks, the acquirer, and the issuer bank is there on the platform, and they are writing to their individual ledgers. That is a 1:1 transaction. You pay someone using the Visa network. That is one ledger that you write to, and that's done. The process is done. That is why it's so quick. On the other hand, Bitcoin, the first slide that we talked about, and we understood that we today will be looking at why the world needed decentralization. Bitcoin is a decentralized network. There are more than 10,000, 15,000 different nodes running across the world, where who are holding these ledgers to the Bitcoin, to the entire Bitcoin network, right? So that takes a humongous amount of time, because network problems come in, and then there's consensus mechanism running. All of this takes such an amount of time. And also Bitcoin is based on proof of work. Proof of work is a consensus mechanism out of scope of this particular lecture. It's a bit deep into blockchain. However, proof of work is a consensus mechanism which takes a good amount of time to give you a consensus. It takes a lot of resources to give you a consensus. That is why you must have heard that Bitcoin mining is so costly, because it takes such an amount of resource to mine one block, right? And that's why the reward is around, now it's around 6.25 Bitcoins per block mined, right? On the other hand, Ethereum is a second generation blockchain. Bitcoin was the first generation blockchain, right? There are many generations of blockchain. So Ethereum is, again, out of scope of this lecture. Ethereum provides an additional feature of additional capacity to handle smart contracts. Smart contracts are nothing but legal, just like legal contracts, but they run in code and they run automatically, because they're running on a blockchain network which is public, and it's an automated piece of code. So Ethereum not only has to handle payments like Bitcoin is doing, but also has to handle a lot of smart contracts running on its platform every now and then, which are also considered as transactions on the platform only. So that is what Ethereum needs to handle. So that's a lot of work across a lot of ledgers spread across the entire world, achieving one single task, right? So that's what it is. So before going into use cases, I would really wait for 30 seconds to see if there are any questions now. Now we just cover use cases and then we close off very soon. Any use cases? Mule, I would like to mute you, because there's a voice coming. Yes, sir.
Come on. Actually, somebody was asking it. There is a question.
Oh, there's a question in the chat. Okay. I have a question, but I cannot unmute to talk to you. I have questions, but I cannot unmute. So please type the question. That's equally fine. And if you can type the question, we can take it up.
Can you please explain what do you mean by smart contracts?
Yes, sure. Okay. Till the time Mr. Sabyasachi is writing the question, I'll take Nilesh sir's question here. So very good question for the entire group. Smart contracts are essentially similar to contracts, as I said, just legal contracts in the real life. They are pieces of code. I'll give you an example and you'll understand it perfectly, I believe. Some time back, I was working in a company where one of the leading airlines in the country, very famous name, everyone knows it. They had approached us to form a particular use case, industry use case. That use case was they wanted to take their entire in-flight insurance. You know, the 249 rupees insurance that you apply when you are booking a flight on Make My Trip or somewhere, that, you know, add 249 rupees insurance to my flight. That in-flight insurance, and they wanted to put it on blockchain. They wanted to do it because of two things. Number one, publicity. They wanted to move in the first to do this in the entire country, because airlines have been doing this in Europe and they have been really successful. Number two, it was that they wanted to build this trust amongst their users, that for insurance in the past, people have had to call, people have, not in the past, even now, people have to call the airline company that, okay, my flight was 1 hour delayed. I mean, why are you not crediting me the insurance amount? Then the airline says something else, and then they just, you end up not receiving the money, right? So then you lose trust, and that is why you stop clicking on that tick mark, because you think that, yeah, 249, I don't have to spend, I don't want to spend, because nothing I'm going to get out of it, right? Even if my luggage is lost, even if my flight is delayed for some minutes, I'm not going to get it. However, what they wanted to do in terms of by putting it on blockchain is that they wanted to bring it in a very automated fashion. They wanted to tell it to people, advertise it to people, their customers, that you click on this button, that you want to avail this insurance, that is written into a smart contract, which goes into the blockchain, a public blockchain network or a permission network. That could have been their decision. And this piece of code will run the moment it gets a signal that this particular flight number was delayed even by 5 minutes. And if you're covered for 5 minutes, this code will run, and your account or your it was SpiceJet, so your Spice credits or something like that, or your bank account, whatever is there in the agreement, or while you tick mark on it, it will be done immediately without the airlines interference. So people will trust that, okay, I do not have to call the airline, this will automatically happen. Another great example of this is that now if Zomato implements something like this, you would know that whenever my order is delayed, I will not have to contact Zomato by customer service and request for a refund. It will be automatically processed. The moment Zomato started something like this in between, that you can avail for it and you will get 20 rupees, 40 rupees back. So but when you put it on blockchain, the customer would know that this will happen the moment the timer goes off, and they have still not reached my door. It will automatically happen, which does not even happen with Domino's, right, who promised 30-minute delivery. They can put this on blockchain. So that is what smart contract is, and this is the kind of real life use case that if you search, I'm forgetting the name, there is an European airline carrier which applies this technology, and they are very successful in this. This is what our Indian counterpart wanted to base their entire use case on. Does that answer your question, Nilesh sir? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right. So that was great for the entire group, because I don't think I have been able to cover smart contracts in detail in this slide, but it was a good question to know, because a very important piece of tech is smart contract. All right. Let me take a look at the question by Mr. Malik. Phantom is a blockchain based on DAG technology like IOTA, Constellation, etc., which is much more scalable than Ethereum. It can scale maximum up to 300 transactions per second. According to the white paper they released, even they tested more than 25k transactions per second. Yes, I'll give you a very good insight. I was a product manager for a blockchain technology called Karachain, which we were developing in my last company. Even we had achieved a transaction throughput of 700 transactions per second. If you compare it with Bitcoin, it is more than 100 times more, right? Even it's the top speed of Bitcoin was 100 times less than what we were able to achieve, right? However, these are all technologies currently in. That is what I said when I was explaining that slide. These are all technologies that are under research till now. A lot of people are doing that. In India as well. Phantom, I don't know if it's Indian or outside, but in India also, if you check, a lot of companies are researching into this. We are a part of the University of Toronto blockchain stream, where great people are there. And many companies are exploring something like this, great transaction speed. They are also trying to experiment with newer generations of blockchain. Bitcoin is first generation. Ethereum is second generation. I'm talking about third and then subsequent fourth generation of blockchains, which are experimenting with something called side chains. You've seen the Lightning Network, right? So Lightning Network in Bitcoin is something that is able to achieve a higher throughput, and I see that Mr. Malik has left the meeting. So anyways, but for the entire group, I would love to continue to explain this. So a lot of other technologies. Mr. Ramesh, would you like to mute yourself, please? It's okay. I'm just muting you because there's some background noise. Yeah, I've done that. Okay. I guess I've done that. All right. So yes. So that's essentially what such companies are doing in great teams, and many have been able to arrive at some good position. And however, nothing is in the mainstream market yet. Otherwise, you would have started paying at Starbucks or McD using Bitcoin or other alternate forms of payment, right? So that is where we are. It is no more ERC20. It has own Opera blockchain. Yeah. Okay. All right. How is a block recognized in the blockchain approach? Okay. So as I understand from your question, Mr. Roy, is that Ms. Roy, is that how is a block recognized in the blockchain approach? Recognition of a block is in terms of consensus mechanism. You do a transaction on the, let's take an example of the Bitcoin blockchain. You do a transaction on the Bitcoin network that goes into a pool of transactions where other people's transactions are there as well. It is called a mempool, and from there miners pick transactions, form a block of transactions, right? They form a handful of transactions maybe, and they do it usually based on the fee that you've paid. The more the fee, the more incentivized they would be in picking your transaction first, and your transaction will be processed faster, right? When they do that, if it's a proof of work based blockchain, they solve that entire cryptographic puzzle, the question, and whichever miner is the first to solve that puzzle, prove that the work has been done, which is actually proof of work, much deeper concept out of scope of this lecture. Once that is done, the network accepts that miner's block of transactions as final, as the next block, and it gets added to the blockchain, which in this case was the Bitcoin blockchain, right? And then so on and so forth, the process continues. So that is how a block is recognized in a blockchain. So first is mempool, then is consensus mechanism. The consensus is arrived at, and then the block gets attached to the blockchain. And once that happens, this block contains a reference, just like in linked lists, if you studied, this block contains a reference to the previous block, which means that anything you do in any of the blocks, any change you try to attempt in, you attempt to create in any block in the past, it is going to change the existence of this block, right? If you've seen Flash, the animated character, you would understand that you can't just go back in history and change these things, because then it would mean that this current block should have a different hash, because one hash was changed in the past. That is why and once that happens, entire network would know that you have messed with the blockchain. Once that happens, everyone who are not with bad intentions, they will leave that network. They will fork that network, which is what happened in case of Ethereum, between Ethereum Classic and Ethereum as well. So the reason why you spend so much resource and money on changing this, one transaction back in the past, it will be in vain, because you've just lost the money, because people have left that network altogether. That is the power that decentralization brings, which is just not possible in case of centralization, such as maybe a bank in India. You are giving your friend 100 rupees. The bank just tampers with that entry where it says that you paid 100 rupees. You're lost, right? You cannot do anything, because that was the only copy and there is no one to check it, right? And in a decentralized network, everyone has that same ledger. One ledger does not match, the entire network knows that, hey, why is your ledger not matching everyone else's ledger, right? And that's how you're able to take errors in a blockchain. That is how a blockchain is secure, it's immutable, you cannot practically go back and change a transaction, and it's transparent to everyone to check that. Right. All right. Great. 4 questions. Let's go back and let's take a look at the use cases now, which are very important. I have some time. Let's take a look. All right. So this was done. We'll be taking a look at 3 use cases across sectors, across segments, to give you a great understanding of where things are in the industry. This was a use case done by IBM with on the Amazon blockchain platform actually, and they are doing it. No, this one IBM I think did it on Hyperledger, which is another blockchain platform, a blockchain technology form of blockchain technology, and a framework to build more blockchain applications as well. So IBM did it there, and they put their entire supply chain management on this particular platform, and now their entire supply chain is fully transparent for those stakeholders who have a need to see a particular form of data. So not that everything is visible to everyone, because suppliers might have nothing to do with the data that is going to the retail shops, right? So but it is public to all the stakeholders that have business looking at it, right? This is what they did, and they reported that they arrived at a much less friction process, and they were protecting hugely against counterfeiting and counterfeited goods and processes, right? So using these kinds of technologies, you are giving out a great product to the end user. That is why you would want to do something like this, and that is why big corporates like this are doing this these kinds of implementations of the technology like blockchain, right? And their food trust, this was called the food trust. I don't know if I've written that. This was called the food trust implementation on blockchain, and you can read about it, and it is a great implementation. Similarly, on like similar to this, Nestle, we all know Nestle did their implementation on Amazon, on the Amazon blockchain as a service that they provide, and they were also able to like make that entire process transparent, and you can go to Amazon's website and check that, and you'll get to see that where the statistics are, how that looks like, and you'll understand that what benefit you can achieve by taking a look at these use cases. The agenda behind discussing these use cases is, even if the theory maybe does not interest you much, even if the technical part does not interest you much, use cases is something that people are able to directly relate. If you hear things about like Nestle, which you are consuming products every day, then you'll start thinking that, okay, maybe sometime down the line, this coffee that I just drank before taking this lecture, I will get to know that exactly where it was produced, exactly where it was manufactured, who did that, when was that, what all ingredients were in that, what was the timeline, where it was kept before giving it to retail, everything in blockchain, right? Everything available publicly on a blockchain, right? Another use case, let's quickly go through it. This is insurance on blockchain. It is very famous now. A lot of people are trying to do this. Accenture tried to do this, and have been on this for some time now. And they have seen, analysts have seen that companies using blockchain and other forms of technologies such as IoT, sensors, trust, and building trust using oracles. Oracles is another technology that we cannot go into right now. And all of that, when you combine and you put that data on the blockchain, that leverages you in extracting or tapping into much unlocked potential that lies in this insurer or claims process in this particular segment, in this network, right? I was at Policy Bazaar previously, so I understand that what this segment looks like. And every such insurer has a claims department, and things can really change if you use some form of technology like blockchain, right? And people have identified that even you can gain up to $99 to $277 million in savings annually if people start using blockchain. And this data was from US, so at least we'll be around that if we try it, right? Yes, do we have a question?
Abhishek,
Yes.
Abhishek, I just wanted to know, you just talked about counterfeiting can be stopped by using blockchain technology.
Yeah.
And I was just discussing that Tisco is probably using this technology to stop counterfeit products which are in market with Tata symbol actually. So can we use this technology to stop counterfeit notes also, the currencies?
To be honest, if government wants to use this kind of a technology, I'll tell you from the top of the mind, just thinking out loud, that if this kind of a technology needs to be used, then the consumer has to be aware, or the people in the country have to be aware as well. The blockchain, the government can use blockchain to arrive at this point, right, where they can initiate the process of preventing counterfeit notes in the country. But the other side of the chain would be people in the country, the citizens, being able to actually be a part of that system as well. For that, so for example, I'll give you a bit of different example. How we are planning to protect frauds from happening is by using technologies like QR codes, which are on our bags, because we are dealing with warehouse receipt finance, which are on our bags. That data is directly recorded on blockchain. So to prevent fraud, the banks or the warehouses who are there at that point in time, to prevent frauds, they will also have to be a part of the network, where they scan those QR code, check the receipt that gets generated on the blockchain in real time. That is real time data coming from blockchain directly. If that looks good to you, then you allow the delivery of those goods or something like that. So this process, both the stakeholders have to come on board. So similarly, in the case of counterfeit notes, we can do that. if the government puts the serial number or things like that on the blockchain, and then on the blockchain, and then they put some sort of, some sort of code, or maybe very small QR or something, which the consumer can read, which the user or the citizen can read via their mobile phone. Now mobile phones are capable of doing so much, right? If they scan, they are the people who can, take it before taking an entire lot. Maybe if you're a trader and you're taking a huge sum of money, you can just scan through that code, and you will know that, okay, this series is real. This series is real because the government blockchain shows that this was generated on, this was a part of this particular lot generated in 2015, and so on and so forth, right? So that is how you'll have to prevent fraud. Fraud prevention, like even we are doing for banks, it cannot be single-handed. Just we cannot do it. Banks have to come on our platform to do it, right? So that is how I think known citizens can prevent fraud in that manner, if government wants to try that. Yes. All right. Does that make sense?
Fine.
All right, great.
Fine.
Great. Thanks a lot. Great question. These use cases are what actually tell people that whether blockchain can be used in real life or not. Right. Okay. Going back to this, we are almost done. So okay. All right. Use case 3, my favorite, definitely. Blockchain in agriculture, to provide loans to farmers and traders against their warehouse receipts, and while the another objective is to prevent banks from frauds that happen almost every year. $3 billion in Qingdao scandal, you can check on the slide. And big names such as Standard Chartered, Citibank, they were a part of this. I mean, they were hit by this scandal. Banks of that stature. 5,600 crores in NSCL scam in India, I think some few years back. That's another $1 billion there. India. Just a few months back, ICICI Bank was hit by a $150 million fraud, I guess, what I read. So this is happening every now and then. Hence, one great use case that we come up with, this is my favorite because this is my company, which is what we do currently with the government. Again, government is an active part of this entire network because most of the warehouses are government state-owned warehouses, and that's our logo that you can see on that small house. So we have been able to prevent so much of fraud and using this technology, and banks are interested in it. And so this is one kind of technology. So just going back a bit, when we discuss cryptocurrencies, all these three forms of three use cases that we just discussed are not using cryptocurrency in any form. Still, these are very good blockchain use cases. Even this third use case, which is ours, we have received so much traction from the government, from banks, all entities who have been known in the past to be slow, to be reluctant to change. But we have 1,400 government warehouses on our platform. We have 3 lenders on our platform already. Yes Bank, we have Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank, we have Samunati Bank, NBFC, and major names are there in the pipeline like HDFC and all. And you can see that no bank, I would love to share, any bank, any major bank, all names that that we have pitched to, none of them, no bank has yet told us that, okay, this is not a product that we might have a need for, because every one of them in this country have faced some sort of fraud or another in warehouse receipt financing. That's the kind of use case blockchain has in the entire industry, and and that's where acceptance come in, even without talking about cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin or Ethereum. So these are the use cases that I wanted to share. This is one last slide which I'd like to take. After that, I'll maybe take opinion whether I should proceed or not. So let's take a couple of myths of blockchain, and then we'll take some questions. People believe that blockchain is a truth machine. Okay, I've seen like out of hundreds of whom I've taught, some questions I've heard is that anything that comes out of blockchain, or you can see on a public blockchain, that is great data, that is truthful data, that is correct, accurate data. This is a form of technology. If you put garbage in, what you're going to get is garbage out, right? Blockchain is not some sort of magic which happens and just spits out truthful, realistic, accurate data. So you have to make sure that where you are using blockchain, it is justified, and the data sets, in a supply chain, if you're inserting wrong data, there is no use of keeping that data. But as a company, if you're implementing blockchain, you would not want to do that. And that is why blockchain works, not just because blockchain has some magical powers. On the other hand, blockchain is free. This is a big myth that people believe. People confuse blockchain with free open source. Yes, it is free, it is open source. There are technologies, even we use Quorum, we are on Quorum blockchain, which is a fork of Ethereum. Ethereum is free and open source. Quorum is free and open source, though this was developed by JP Morgan and then later acquired by Consensus, all private, all corporates, right? However, blockchain is technology is free to use, to build on. However, if you are implementing blockchain, and I would really love if you are thinking of implementing blockchain ever in life, I would love you to really love if you can just pay attention to this particular myth and take this out of your life, is that blockchain is not free to use, to implement. If you're using blockchain or setting up a blockchain network, there are costs that you will incur. There is network costs that you will incur. You, even if you just set up some AWS instance, you will have to pay for those instances, right? So this is what happens in the industry. People think that, okay, itana I will not pay for blockchain network, why I can use any normal database. Exactly. Even my point would be that if you can use the normal RDBMS or a NoSQL database for doing your project or for doing your company operations, please do so. Unless you're able to find a very specific use case where the core characteristics of blockchain will be used to help you in some sort of manner, unless then please do not use blockchain, because then it is going to create a lot of overheads for you in your business. A lot of cost will increase, right? So for example, we use blockchain. The banks pay for that blockchain. Why? Because they can see that, okay, we are spending X amount of money on implementing blockchain, but the frauds that we will prevent will be in millions of dollars. So that's negligible cost. However, if for example, if Zomato wanted to do food delivery, but they wanted to replace their database systems with blockchain, why would they do that? It is their data. They will anyways not mess up with that data themselves, right? So there's no reason that Zomato would want to process orders on blockchain and take 5 minutes to do so, and incur a lot in cost. That would be stupid, right, for Zomato. So then that is one thing that people believe. But blockchain, if not implemented properly or in a good use case, it's going to be very pricey for you, to be honest, right? All right. So next I have 3 slides on how to build a career in blockchain technology. If you want that I proceed with that, just maybe write in the chat if you really want I should proceed with that or not. Else we can skip that part as well, because I think it is already 5 p.m. almost. No, so we have 10 minutes. Is there any? I have a question here. Then I'll do these 3 slides. Can you please put some light on Hedera hypergraph technology, which is similar to blockchain, but again an entirely different and unique technology, much more newer than blockchain? You might have heard that tech giant Google has partnered with. So Hedera hypergraph, I'm pretty sure it's not called Hedera hypergraph. I'm pretty sure it is called Hedera hashgraph, right? So Hedera hashgraph is a hash, is basically a hash map technology, right? So I'm not a hashgraph engineer. I've not worked on hashgraph per se. But that's a totally different form of technology, like quantum computing is, right? And it is able to do it is able to achieve yes, hashgraph, yes, exactly. So it is able to achieve some sort of other objectives, principles, and some are finding use cases of it as well. So if your company is finding that use case as prevalent, then you can go with such a solution. There is another one I would like to say. There is someone in our network runs a similar hashgraph platform called Origraph. I think I'm not very familiar with it. Origraph, again, it's a very new form of technology, and they are innovating with hashgraph technology. You can take a look at that. So so that is how these work, right? And you can use either one as you feel fine, right? Okay. All right, just going quickly, give me 10 minutes here, and I'll just cover. Actually, people interested in building a career in blockchain technology can just go through this in the next 2 minutes. I have 3 slides only, and all right. So essentially, let's quickly talk about how to build a career in blockchain technology. In the beginning, we saw that 0.25% in India IT engineers are into blockchain. That's a great number. How to get into it as a blockchain engineer? So first of all, as this says that you should have good computer science basics as well. If you want to do not if you want to be a product manager in blockchain, then this slide is not for you. Then it is you can skip this slide, because this is for people who want to be engineers in blockchain, right? Blockchain engineers, the kind we are hiring right now. So if anyone wants to apply, right? So because blockchain is a different kind of technology, even I remember, so for example, if I just sit down to learn React.js or Angular.js, right? It's a framework, it's a construct. you might take, you might take 7 days, 10 days to learn the entire library and then start off, right, using it. On the other hand, when even I sat in back 3.5 years back, when I sat to learn blockchain technology, I took around half a month to even understand, 15 days, 15 days to a couple of weeks to understand and get into blockchain really good, that okay, oh, this is why blockchain is into picture, and why this is what blockchain means, and this is how the technology works. So that was in that scenario quite a lot of time in today's world, when you have to be fast, but this technology slows you a bit at the beginning, but if you do not understand at that part, then it will be difficult for you to implement this complicated form of technology in your everyday use cases. And let's face it, this is a complicated form of technology. In the past so many decades, have you ever heard of a technology that is decentralized in nature? Have you ever heard of a technology that uses ledgers, kind of databases, which are spread across 10,000 different people, and there's a network in between, and you have to write to all of them? These are very new. So what happens, that when people start in blockchain, they are very perplexed, because they try to compare it with what they know. Especially when I was teaching faculties, this is a very, very honest insight that I've got, is that when I was taking a faculty development program some time back, and it was a good lot, so that's why I know that my numbers are good. This understanding is good. I was teaching almost 700 faculties and PhDs. That's a big number in India, right? And I received messages, I received direct calls as well, and that they were having certain questions which were totally ingrained in those concepts which they have learned in the last 4 decades, right? In other forms of technology, basic computer science technologies. So they were trying to relate them very, 1:1. But that is not how blockchain works. Blockchain is a different form of technology, and you have to spend a lot of time in understanding that how blocks are formed, why consensus mechanism, why decentralization, why Byzantine fault tolerant systems, why Merkle trees, why Merkle trees are used by Ethereum, why Patricia trees are used by Ethereum, and how it works, how changing something will result into a change in the current block. How is it all related, right? So this is something that you should spend good time on. Once you do that, you learn the basics of blockchain. It's as I said, it's very different from the technologies you've known. These are the tools. You can take a quick look, you can write it down, you can search on the internet. All right, popular frameworks such as Truffle, Web3 and all, they are very blockchain specific, right? So when you are learning blockchain, these tools should be on the at your tips, because these are not used for any other development. They are not used for your centralized development of sorts. They are particularly used for smart contracts, and then building blockchain systems, and then so for example, if you don't want to use blockchain systems on your PC or on your network or on your AWS, you can tune into something like Infura. I don't think I've written the name here. Infura is a cloud form of blockchain technology. You can just take their APIs and call them. In my FDP, I showed a live demonstration of it, and you can use that as a real-time blockchain, just as you would on your own system, right? And it's a great form of technology. Learn this language called Solidity. Like any other language, this Solidity is used for particularly for smart contracts. So people who want to come into blockchain, you will have to write smart contracts, possibly on Ethereum or on Hyperledger, right? So there you would need this language. Quorum you would need Solidity. Ethereum you would need Solidity, right? We use Solidity. So this is a language that you should learn. Learn Golang if you want to learn concurrent programming and then all sorts of things in blockchain. And while you learn to write smart contracts, try to build some dApps, which is decentralized application, just like normal applications. But here is where again there is a problem, because you see normal applications that run on your phone, this is a bit different. They have to talk to a blockchain network, and blockchain networks are not that easy to talk to if you don't know, right? So then definitely learn how to build dApps, because they work a bit differently. So if you use one of these tools, MetaMask is a tool that runs in your Chrome to interact with blockchain products. So you cannot just interact with blockchains like you open a website or like you open a normal app. Maybe people are developing some great forms of technologies to make that happen, but until then, this is how you do it, and you do it via dApps. I am done. I can see I am done. Yes. So any questions, or if you do, yeah. Okay. All right. So if you and apart from this, a bit of self promotion. If you want to dive deeper, you can check out my book written with one government personnel, Mr. Srinivas and Mr. Gokul, who was an associate director at PwC some time back. and it's available across all Amazons across the globe. And that's it. I am done. Yes. Any questions, and then we can wrap up. So this is thank you. Okay, while I take questions, please, this is one request I have from every one of you here, 30 odd people that are there. Takes you 10 seconds till the time I'm taking questions. Please do visit this and fill your feedback, and I'm good to take questions. I'm typing the link as well here. This helps me make my next lectures better. Yes, questions please.
Abhishek,
Yes, sir.
I'm also having one question.
Yes, sir.
Whether this technology can be used in engineering and consultancy organizations like Mecon?
Yeah.
We can apply. Any idea?
Sir, yes, sir, exactly. So, for that, I would really have to get into what all processes are there, which blockchain can change. But one thumb rule in 1 minute, one thumb rule, sir, would be that just figure out any, if you sit and figure out any process where there is some form of misrepresentation or fraud or chances of fraud or counterfeiting or something like that. There's discrepancy in the process you run. That process can be solved using blockchain. If not, please don't use blockchain as a database of sorts, right? So any process that you find where there is a fraud problem or discrepancy, you can apply blockchain. You can make sure all those stakeholders, maybe it might be a supply chain network for Mecon and Mecon as well as these providers and suppliers. They can be nodes on a blockchain. You can create a private blockchain network, and then that might solve your problem to some extent, and that's how I think can be used anywhere. This is a thumb rule for anywhere. To be honest.
Hello Abhishek, Teja here from
Yeah, Teja.
Hyderabad. Can you
Yes.
able to hear me properly?
Yes, Teja.
Abhishek, I have one question. Like now, I'm about to start internship for a French-based company.
Yeah, I heard.
They are the startup in West Africa, and they are into agri. No, they will lend the finance to the farmers,
Oh,
and
okay.
they just generate like a score based out of the local officers. They can check that, verify that, and they can provide the funding to the farmers.
Uh-huh.
So they haven't implemented the blockchain yet. So how the mechanism of blockchain will be, whether it will be in solidity or how the total mechanism will be there, because they haven't started it.
So they haven't implemented blockchain yet. So what are you joining as? I mean, is it going to be your responsibility to join them and create the blockchain? Is it?
I didn't get you. Could you please repeat?
Yeah. So they have not implemented blockchain till now. That's what you said, right?
Yes.
So you are joining.
When I had a discussion with them, they told that they haven't implemented the blockchain yet.
So you are
They have got to start.
you are joining them as a blockchain intern. Then would it be your job to set up that blockchain?
I'm not sure, but they offered me this internship.
Okay.
I think they do have a team, so they do have
that's
like
great. So then that depends on what they are using blockchain for. As far as I understood that they are doing some process. It was not very clear. Doing some process to provide loans to farmers. Okay, similar what we do might be, right? But they might.
So
not
in
be
Indian cases, they have discussed like India is doing great in terms of these applications.
Right.
They already mentioned that.
Right.
So in Indian context, the companies which are the startups in India in a particular field,
Yeah,
how they're doing it.
Yeah, Teja. So basically, if they want to do this with farmers, one thing I would give you out of industry experience is that Teja, would you like to mute, please? There's a lot of background noise as well. I don't think you'll be able to hear the answer then, right? So essentially, to be honest, direct from the experience. If you are implementing blockchain and you want the farmers to be a node on the blockchain, or you want them to use blockchain, you are going to miserably fail, to be honest, right? We understood this because we also have farmers in our network, and one of the stakeholders, they are not our direct customers, banks are our direct customers. So we have made sure that we keep farmers completely out of blockchain. Okay, we have a diagram where you can see that farmers are totally out of blockchain. They don't even write to blockchain. They just use a mobile app, right? If they can use a mobile app, they use a mobile app. Otherwise, they have other options as well that we have given. In the case of blockchain, so then in that West Africa use case, you'll have to bring in your other stakeholders on the blockchain if you want to use blockchain. and then make sure that there's an integrated platform. You do an API integration. The underlying blockchain that you choose, it's up to them, whichever is good for you, whichever, to be honest, a lot of companies use particular blockchain technology where they find engineers, to be very honest, right? Where they find good engineers. Ethereum is somewhere you will find great engineers. Hyperledger is somewhere you will find good engineers. Quorum, I don't know if you'll find good engineers or not, because currently even I am hiring Quorum engineers or Ethereum engineers, and it has been a tough job for me finding a good engineer who's in my budget, of course. Otherwise, great engineers are there. So this is how, Teja, I think they'll go about. So pick anywhere you are finding good talent, and make sure that you build an integrated platform. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And I would suggest that you keep farmers out of that network. Otherwise it's not going to work, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Abhishek. Happy to know that you are also into the same kind of startup.
Yeah,
so if
yeah.
any things that I need to take your help, I'll
Sure,
definitely
Teja, I think
contact you.
yeah, Teja, I think you have my number. Ramni gave you, right? So you can get in touch with me, right? Or on LinkedIn, right? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I heard about it yesterday. Okay, great. So I have a question from Mr. Malik again. As far as is this a new question? Yes. As far as I know, there is no way to. Okay, by the time I'm taking this question, another request, please click on that link. It's a really 10-second feedback. Really want your responses. Completely anonymous, right? Okay. So as far as I know, there is no way to recover any account that exists in blockchain if user lost their key store file or mnemonic phrase or public private key. Is there any way user can get access to their account even if they forgot or lost the secret key? No, there is not. So Mr. Malik, you've read it, you've studied it very correctly. Blockchain, that is why blockchain people are facing difficulties in understanding blockchain, because they take blockchain as the normal technologies. When they're using blockchain applications, they think that okay, if I forget this, I'll just click on that forget password button that I'll get. You will never get a forget password button. The reason is, when you are clicking on forget password on, say, Facebook or on any website, that password and that entire mechanism is stored on the Facebook's or Netflix's or Amazon's servers. On the other hand, this particular wallet key, the private key, it is called a private key because it's private to you. It is not private to you and Netflix, or private to you and MetaMask. That key is only stored locally on your computer, and that is how essentially you lose access to your wallet. But this is particularly when we are talking about Ethereum or cryptocurrencies, and you drop off your Ethereum if you lose that phrase, because it's a private key and it's cryptography. It works in a private public key mechanism. You have to read about that, then you'll understand it, that one cannot exist without the other, right? Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Nisha. It's a nice session. I would love if you could fill the feedback form as well, so that I can read it the next time I'm taking a lecture. Yeah, does that answer your question, Mr. Malik? So, yeah. Any other questions anyone has? Okay, 20 odd people are remaining. Can anyone tell me, if people so interested in Bitcoin, can anyone tell me today's rate of Bitcoin, one Bitcoin? Can anyone please unmute and tell me today morning's rate of Bitcoin, or maybe the last you heard about, what was the rate of Bitcoin that you heard? Anyone? Yes, $17,035 was last what I said. So Mr. Malik is very updated. So last time a trivia is that last time it arrived at this kind of a figure, $19,000 per Bitcoin figure, was December 2017. And the second time, the only other time in history that it has happened, was just 4.5 days back, when it again touched 19,000 and went till 19,400 of sorts. And so that's where Bitcoin is going. That was just a plain trivia. Yes. So all right. So any other questions? Otherwise we can wrap it up. Sir, any other question? If we have, then we can take it. Otherwise we can wrap it up.
Any other question is there?
I mean, last statement from me would be, please learn blockchain. It is really going hot. It was voted 2020's. Okay, last couple of lines before we wrap up. It was ranked as 2020's #1 skill by LinkedIn. 2020 is ending, but that does not change the truth. And very popular technologies and expertise such as cloud computing, then then it was artificial intelligence. They were ranked 2 and 4. Down the line. So blockchain was #1. Very interesting fact. World Bank has called blockchain as as a pillar of the fourth industrial revolution. You know what were pillars of the initial industrial revolutions? It was steam engine, right? It was the internet. So these things, the World Bank has compared blockchain with all these things, all such revolutionary forms of technology such as steam engine and internet. So this is definitely a signal that we are onto something really great. And I think, yes, I think that should be enough for you to kickstart your journey in blockchain. People are there in the industry who can help you. There are so many resources. Now there are so many resources. Back in 2016-17, there was almost zero resources in if you wanted to learn blockchain or do engineering in blockchain. So now there are so many resources. And anything, if there's anything, you can reach out to me. Yeah, yes. Thank you, sir. That's all from me.
Okay, Abhishek. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
You made us make us understanding the basics of all blockchain technology. That is really new to us, and it is very interesting
Yes.
to us, and we will learn so many things. Let us try to apply this technology in wherever our people are working.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Uh, on behalf of CSA Ranchi chapter, I wish you all the best for your endeavor as 3x entrepreneur and as well as your 2x author. We are expecting you should write more books.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sure.
Thank you very much. I also thank all participants to participate in this webinar and made this program success. Thank you once again for Abhishek.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everyone. Great learning. Happy learning. Bye.
ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ತಲೆ ತೆಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟ